The boardwalk was my sanctuary, a place where the rhythmic crash of waves drowned out the noise of the world. But that night, under a moonless sky, something shifted. The air felt wrong, heavy with a silence that didn't belong. I was 16, restless, and chasing the calm of a late-night run. What I found instead was a nightmare that still claws at me. The boardwalk stretched endlessly before me, its weathered planks creaking under my sneakers. It was late August, the tail end of summer, when my coastal town of Bayview turned into a ghost town. The tourists had packed up, leaving behind shuttered storefronts and an eerie quiet. I loved it. This emptiness, the way the ocean's hum filled the void. Running at night was my ritual, a way to clear my head before the chaos of junior year. No phone, no distractions, just my old Timex watch ticking off the miles and my house key jangling in my pocket. That night, the air was cool, tinged with salt and the faint rot of seaweed. The street lamps cast weak pools of light, barely cutting through the darkness. I hit my stride about a mile in, my breaths sinking with the slap of my shoes. The world felt mine alone until it didn't. A faint sound broke my rhythm, not the waves or the wind, but something sharper, like a twig snapping. I slowed, glancing over my shoulder. Nothing, just the empty boardwalk stretching into the shadows. I shook it off, blaming my imagination, and picked up my pace, but the feeling lingered, a prickle on the back of my neck, like eyes boring into me. I turned again. This time, I saw him. A figure stood maybe 100 yards back, motionless under a flickering street lamp. Hood up, face hidden, hands stuffed in his pockets. My heart stuttered. Probably just a local, I told myself. Maybe a fisherman heading home. But he didn't move. He just stood there, watching. I kept running, faster now, the key in my pocket jingling with each step. The boardwalk felt longer, the shadows deeper. Every few strides, I glanced back. He was still there, closer each time, though I never saw him take a step. It was like he was gliding, shrinking the distance between us without effort. My lungs burned, but I didn't dare stop. The end of the boardwalk, where my bike was chained, was still half a mile away. Then I heard it, a low, guttural hum, like someone muttering under their breath. It came from behind me, too close. I spun around, nearly tripping. He was maybe 50 feet away now, still standing, still staring, but the humming wasn't coming from him. It was coming from under the boardwalk. I froze, my pulse hammering in my ears. The humming grew louder, joined by a faint scratching, like nails dragging across wood. I looked down through the gaps in the planks. The darkness below was absolute, but something moved, a flicker of motion, like a shadow shifting against the sand. I should have run. Every instinct screamed at me to get out of there, but my bike was my only way home, and I wasn't about to leave it. I sprinted toward the bike rack, my legs pumping harder than they ever had. The humming followed, growing into a chorus of whispers, too garbled to make out words, but heavy with intent. I didn't look back. I couldn't. When I reached the rack, my hands shook as I fumbled with the lock. The key slipped from my fingers, clattering through a gap in the boardwalk. "No, no, no," I muttered, dropping to my knees. I peered through the slats, but it was too dark to see anything. The whispers were louder now, circling below me, and the air stank of damp rot and something metallic like old blood. I had no choice. I jumped off the boardwalk, landing in the soft sand beneath. The smell hit me harder. Rotten, sour, wrong. My watch's faint backlight barely pierced the gloom. I crouched, sifting through the sand where I thought the key had fallen. Trash, littered the ground: crumpled cans, cigarette butts, a torn flip-flop. My fingers brushed something cold and metal. My tea. Relief flooded me until I heard the crunch of sand behind me. I whipped around. Nothing. Just darkness and the creak of the boardwalk overhead. But the whispers were closer, coming from multiple directions, like a pack closing in. I clutched the key and stood, ready to climb back up, when something grabbed my wrist. It was cold, bony, and impossibly strong. I screamed, yanking my arm back, but the grip tightened, nails digging into my skin. In the dim glow of my watch, I saw it. A hand, pale and skeletal, emerging from the shadows. No body, no face. Just the hand, floating like it was attached to nothing. I kicked wildly, my foot connecting with something soft. The hand released me, and I scrambled up to the boardwalk, heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. I didn't look back. I unlocked my bike, jumped on, and pedaled like my life depended on it. The whispers chased me, fading only when I hit the main road. When I got home, I bolted the door and sank to the floor, gasping. My wrist throbbed, marked with red crescent welts where the nails had dug in. I didn't tell my parents. They'd never believe me, and I wasn't sure I believed it myself. I stayed up all night, jumping at every creak of the house. The next morning, I went back. I don't know why. Maybe to prove it wasn't real, that I'd imagined it. The boardwalk looked normal in the daylight, bustling with a few early joggers and dog walkers. I chained my bike and walked to the spot where it happened. The sand below was churned up, like something had been digging. And there, half buried, was a small, rusted locket. I pried it open. Inside was a faded photo of a boy, maybe my age, with hollow eyes and a forced smile. Scratched into the metal was a single word: run. My stomach twisted. I pocketed the locket and left, vowing never to run the boardwalk at night again. Weeks passed, and I tried to forget it, but the locket haunted me. I kept it in my drawer, checking it sometimes to make sure I hadn't dreamed it. Then one night, I woke to a faint scratching at my window. I lived on the second floor. Heart pounding, I peered through the blinds. Nothing. Just the empty street below. But when I turned on the light, the locket was on my desk. I hadn't touched it in days. And it was open, the photo gone, replaced by a folded scrap of paper. With trembling hands, I unfolded it. In jagged, childish handwriting, it read, "He's still watching." I didn't sleep that night. I burned the note and threw the locket into the ocean the next day. But the feeling never left me, that prickle on my neck, the sense of eyes in the dark. I stopped running altogether, sticking to crowded streets when I had to go out. A year later, I heard a rumor at school. A kid from a neighboring town had gone missing last summer, last seen on our boardwalk. They never found him. The police said he'd probably drowned, but the locals whispered about something else. Something that lived under the planks, waiting for the off-season, when the town was quiet and the boardwalk was empty. I don't know what I saw that night. Maybe it was a drifter, a prank, or just my mind playing tricks. But sometimes, when I pass the boardwalk, I hear that humming again, faint and distant, calling me back. And I know, deep down, that whatever's under there isn't done with me yet.